This is a video about the movie makers and actors that were pissed off with WB. To prove a point that we're not against WB, but we are against them now for the way that they treated some of their movie makers and actors, especially in DC. Okay, so to start with, obviously, it's Zack Snyder. I mean, you can write a short essay on the way that this guy was treated badly by the studio for no specific and clear reason. If they didn't like him, why did they hire him in the first place? I mean, the guy who made Watchmen and 300, did they really think he's gonna make a comedy for them if they wanted to be like Marvel's MCU? Really? And they didn't notice that in Man of Steel? Then they ended up with removing half an hour from BVS, Batman v Superman, released in theater. Although the movie made crap loads of money, and it could have made more if they just basically released it entirely, the 3 hours cut. Then they released the 3 hours cut as a release to home video or whatever, so that we can buy it and they can make more money. It didn't make any sense. And to make matters worse, Snyder had a family tragedy. Instead of letting him recover, no, let's get Joss Whedon and do the Justice League and butcher the movie. And the funny thing is, they called the fans as liars, that the Snyder cut didn't exist, when we had, as we know now, because the Justice League from Joss Whedon was 2 hours, Zack Snyder Justice League was 4 hours. I mean, you had at least 2 hours of unseen footage that you paid for, and you didn't want us to see it? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. And of course, you know, what they did to Zack Snyder was just ridiculous. I mean, he had the sequels ready for 2 and 3, Justice League 2 and 3. No, we're not going to do it. Let's leave Zack Snyder on the side. Like I said, that's a whole different video, the way that this guy was mistreated by WB. Christopher freaking Nolan, which by the way, he has fandom much more passionate, probably in some cases more even than the Zack Snyder fandom, but nobody talks about them. The point is, that guy made, again, crap loads of movies. They are usually successful, well made, they make money, and even his last movie didn't just make money, it made $1 billion and he won an Oscar for it. But the funny thing is, that happened with Universal. I mean, think about it. I think all of his movies, most of his movies were with WB. Only his last movie, which is with Universal, all of a sudden made $1 billion and he won an Oscar. This is what happens when you let the movie maker, you know, do their own thing. And again, they pissed off this guy. Why? Because during the pandemic, they released everything on their HBO Max service, because they were worried that the pandemic might last a long time. They didn't want to keep the movies, etc. And they pissed him off. They pissed off Christopher Nolan. David Ayer, who directed The Suicide Squad. Again, that's a very odd example. You got the guy who directed Fury and End of Watch, which are two serious movies. One is a war movie, the other is like about the cops and everything. And you expect him to make a comedy? Of course he was going to make a serious movie. And I'm sure they saw it, and yes, yeah, no, we want a serious movie. And then they butchered his cut. Only God knows how much they removed of his cut. Probably another 1 or 2 hours, just like Zack Snyder Justice League. And if that wasn't enough, they isolated the guy, they criticized him, and he even said himself, he was at the top of the universe at the time. You know, he directed Fury, End of Watch. He could have directed any movie, but he chose a comic book movie because he loved the IP. No, WB pissed him off. So this is 3 major directors, and even the directors that played ball with them, like Patty Jenkins, okay, they had creative differences in the first movie. They interfered with the ending. They made it a CGI fest, basically, okay. And they pissed off Patty Jenkins even when she wanted to do, I think, part 3. They said, yeah, come back. And then they said, no, don't come back. It's like they are a child who doesn't know how to make up their mind. And Batgirl as well, which again, on this one, I'm a little bit kind of 50-50 because I don't like the movie makers. They were very rude to the fans who criticized their Batgirl outfit, and they made fun of them. And you should make fun of the fans. Anyway, they let them make the movie, and they shelved it for tax write-off purposes. They brought Michael Keaton back. They pissed him off because they told him, we're gonna bring you back as Batman in Batman Beyond. It didn't happen. I mean, how many movie makers did they piss off? And you might say, well, it's directors, they have egos. But even actors, if you look at this list, and I'll start with the important ones. Ben Affleck. The guy was more than generous when he accepted the role of Batman. Just like David Ayer, he was at the top of his game. I've mentioned this before. Gone Girl, Argo, The Town, Live by Night, The Accountant, etc. He didn't need to play Batman and put makeup on his face and jump in a rubber suit or whatever. But he did it because he loved Zack Snyder, he loved the character, he's a proper nerd. And let's be honest, these movies are good paychecks. But the thing is, even this guy, they pissed him off. They didn't let him do his own movie. He was battling addiction with alcohol. He was going through divorce, unfortunately. What did the studio do? They let their shills do the whole sad Affleck meme, which was a very sad and pathetic thing to do, considering the guy was going through addiction and divorce, which is a very difficult thing for him, I'm pretty sure, at the time. They pissed him off. They didn't let him time to recover. Instead of that, they gave it to Matt Reeves, to direct his movie, which he couldn't believe it. Oh, I didn't like Ben Affleck's whatever script, and he stole the movie. And I've heard, I think this was, I can't remember which YouTuber said, that WB wanted to get rid of Affleck before he pulls off Heath Ledger, as in, you know, what happened to Heath Ledger. They didn't want the same thing to happen to Batman, and this would put a stain on their DCU, which if it's true, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's true, because what they did to Zack Snyder, I wouldn't be surprised they would do the same thing to Ben Affleck. This would be a disgusting thing to say. You know what I mean? I mean, at the end of the day, these are just movies. And the guy was, you know, thinking of doing bad things to himself, and this is what you do? You don't let him time to recover, you let him, just like Zack Snyder, let him finish the movie, release his cut, so that it's therapeutic for everyone, for him, the fans, etc. And they pissed him off, and he's doing movies with other studios, again, as well, Amazon and whatever. Henry Cavill, the nicest person on the face of the planet, the nicest actor, proper nerd. I mean, the guy never said anything bad about WB. He just wanted to play Superman. He loves the character, man. You can see from his roles, it's all nerdy roles, like The Witcher, Sherlock Holmes, although he wasn't given a proper role in Sherlock Holmes. The guy is meant to be a proper movie star. Instead of giving him his own action franchise, not just Superman, WB was like, you know what? We'll let you come back for Black Adam, do the cameo. We'll let you tell everyone that you're back, but we're not gonna do it. I mean, this is again childish behavior by a studio with millions of dollars behind it, billions of dollars. No wonder the studio is $40 billion in debt. And even other actors have discovered on this. Ray Fisher, which again, he made allegation of abusive and hostile work environment and things about racism, etc. Even that guy, and he worked out for playing Cyborg, which is, he was covered with CGI anyway, and he worked out, he was in amazing shape, and they treated him like crap just because he spoke up his mind. Whether you agree with him or not doesn't matter, but you don't do this to this guy. And again, it's a good thing now he's back with Affleck on his, I think, was it R.I.P. movie, or no, I think Animals movie. Anyway, even Brendan Fraser, who did the bad girl, who was the villain apparently, who needed work at the time, they shelved the movie. Again, I've heard that it's not a good movie. This is from reading YouTube, watching movie videos and articles. Who knows? But the point is, they pissed off another nice guy, another good actor. So this is a simple example of a couple of movie makers, legendary movie makers like Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, to Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, actors like Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. It's not just they pissed them off and they made them work with other studios just because of comic book movies. They basically let them leave the studio, made them leave the studio and work with other studios, and they tried to damage their reputation. Don't tell me the whole mustache gate was with Henry Cavill when he couldn't shave his mustache. He was doing Mission Impossible, and they made the whole mustache gate memes. Don't tell me that's nothing to do with WB. The same thing with Sam Affleck. That's, come on, that's WB written all over it. They wanted to get rid of him as Batman because they wanted the jokey Batman, which they will probably get from freaking James Gunn. So this is the kind of studio we're dealing with. That's why we support the Snyderverse or Zack Snyder, Ben Affleck, etc. Because they were done badly by the studio. They were mistreated, okay? Their reputation damaged. We're not getting good movies of these makers because of this studio, just because of their ego and thirst for money. And it's not even good thirst for money. They're not even making good movies so that we watch them and can make $1 billion and they can make money. Becco movies out.